In this video, I'm going to show y'all guys how to replace and install a wall-hung toilet. This is a full removal guide showing you how to do this properly without any leaks or anything going wrong. All right, so these are some of the tools you're going to need. Obviously, you're going to need a new wall-hung toilet like I got right here. I already put the seat on. Most of them will not come with the seat. You will have to buy the seat separately. You're going to need a knife to cut any caulk sealant. A lot of times you'll have caulk. You're going to need a wrench for the cap nuts. You're going to need a socket wrench for the tank bolts if you choose to take the tank off. I like to do that. And you're going to need either of these two to take the supply line off. And so that's the tools you're going to need. Now I'm going to get into some things you should know before buying a new wall-hung toilet. And there's really only one thing you need to know. This is one very important thing to know, is that all wall-hung toilets take a standardized bolt pattern. As long as it's got 4 bolts on the wall like this, and it has a Zern carrier or J.R. Smith carrier or Joe Sam. There's a bunch of companies that make carriers. Wade Drains, a lot of drainage companies make these carriers. But as long as it's got 4 bolts, 2 on either side like this, then anything you buy, whether it's the American Standard Glenwall Vormax, the Gerber Maxwell, the ProFlow PF 1700 series, or the Mansfield Quantum wall hung, or the Gerber Ultra Flush wall hung. That's all the wall hung tank toilets they offer today. Doesn't matter what you buy, anything new you buy will fit whatever you have. Like, this is an older toilet, anything new you buy will fit. Now I'm going to show you how to change a wall hung toilet. All right, so the first step is you want to shut the water off to the toilet. Then you want to flush the toilet. Usually I recommend holding the handle down. Now you want to take the tank lid off. Sit it somewhere aside. Normally, in the case of a gravity-fed toilet, you'd want to remove all this water from the tank with a sponge, but this is not a gravity-fed toilet. This is a pressure-assist toilet. So we are just going to disconnect the supply line, which can be done pretty simply. All you got to do is the supply line. There are various ways to disconnect it. And I recommend having a rag or something nearby, because usually there's going to be a little bit of water. Actually, I'm going to go get, I have a mat that I'm going to use for, this will, you can use a mat or something to catch any of the water, which is what I'm going to do. But the supply line just comes off like that pretty easily. Now, I recommend just removing the line completely. You can remove just the bottom or top connection a lot of times, but I usually like to just remove the line completely, because a lot of times it just prevents it from getting damaged. And I find that these supply lines with a metal nut like this are a lot of times just better than ones with a plastic nut. Set the supply line kind of off to the side. And now what you want to do is you need to get the water out of the bowl, which I'm going to show you how a good way to do that right now. Which, what you can do, and what I like to do, is fill a bucket with water and just pour it into the bowl, and that'll usually get the water out of the bowl. And I'll show you how to do that. I'm just filling a water bucket right now. All right, so I got the water bucket full. Now you just pour it into the bowl. And it doesn't look like I had enough water this time, but it'll usually drain the water out. All right, I'm gonna try this again. I got a little bit more water this time. All right. it'll get almost all of the water out. So that's why you do that, because it gets most of the water out. Now, what I like to do, now you could just unbolt the toilet like that. However, I find something that makes this way easier is if you take the toilet tank off, especially with a wall hung toilet, because they're awkward to carry. I find this type of toilet, especially like this one with a tank, it's kind of awkward to carry, so it makes it a lot easier just to take the tank off. But you don't have to. I've seen people not do this and it's usually just fine, but it just makes it a whole lot easier from my experience. And then a lot of times you can just, if you get one side loose, the other side will loosen up too, so that's really nice. So you can just take the tank bolts off, and then the tank just comes off like that. Oh, and sometimes there'll be a little bit of water. I find that usually with the flush mates, a lot of times there's a little bit of water left over in them. So just gotta have a towel on hand or something on hand to wipe this water up, because there's a little bit of water up right here. But now you gotta get to unbolting the toilet bowl, which I'll show you how to do that now. Which we're gonna put, what I find, first of all, you wanna put this under the bowl, because to unbolt the bowl, you need to just remove these cap nuts and come off like that. That's how you unbolt the toilet bowl. And also be sure to keep track of these plastic washers, because you want to make sure that nothing happens to those. But you unbolt the bowl. I like taking the bottom two off first, because I find that makes it a lot easier. So now I'm gonna get something to put the camera against, so I can show you the rest of this. Sorry. Just trying to make sure. Just trying to make sure there's a good view. But now what you want to do is, I like kind of leaning my legs against the toilet, and then I just take a wrench and take the top nuts off. And then what I do, then I lean my legs against the toilet, and the toilet comes off just like that. Comes off relatively easy. And the reason you want to have this right here is because a lot of times it's just a little bit of leftover water in the drain. It will spill out. It's not that big of a deal. Now normally what you want to do is, if there was any wax or any sealant on the drain horn, you'd want to clean it off. But I want to show you something to kind of keep in mind. Ideally, the drain horn should stick out anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to up to 5/8 of an inch past the wall. However, this one is a little bit short, but fortunately, they do make thicker seals. So in this case, rather than using a 5/8 inch neoprene seal, you just want to use a 3/4 inch neoprene seal. That's what I do. Or they make neoprene seals up to 1 1/4 inches thick, just in case this happens. But you can usually just, if you pull off, normally they won't be this short, but if you do find a drain flange that's short like this, just get the The Zern Neo Seal gasket is 3/4 of an inch thick, and it is normally thick enough to seal on this type of toilet flange like that. Now you want to put your new seal on the back of the new toilet. You want to put it on the back of the toilet, and just right after that, now you want to get your new toilet, lift it up, and you want to carefully set the new toilet in place. Now what I recommend doing is putting the top 2 nuts on first. I find that works the best. And hold the toilet against the wall with your legs like this. But just put the top 2 nuts on first, just like that. Now you want to put the bottom ones on. And also one more thing is sometimes the bolts will be a little bit, the threaded rods will be a little bit short or a little too long. And if they're too long, you can just get a set of 5/8, 11 open-ended nuts. And so they'll thread past, or you can get a washer and just stick it on the cap nuts. Or if they're too short, you can get retrofit cap nuts or just the bolts. And now what you want to do is snug the toilet down. These don't need to be super tight, but they do need to be snug. Like that's probably, and you want to tighten these by opposing corners. Just want to snug the toilet down. It doesn't need to be crazy tight, but you want it to be tight enough. Now what you want to do is go to your water tank, make sure the gasket's installed. If not, put the gasket on. Most tanks will come with the flush assembly already installed. This one does, but if yours doesn't, you need to put it on now. And you want to make sure you got the proper tank parts. So yeah. And also, if you're wondering what a retrofit cap nut is, it's basically this. This is if the bolt is too short, if the threaded rods are too short. Sometimes you'll have to use these. But now what you want to do is get the tank nuts and your tools. I'm going to set them right here. Now you want to get the tank. And place the tank on the bowl, guiding the tank bolts to their corresponding holes. And now what you want to do is get the tank nuts, and you want to just tighten them in place. So you want to just put the tank nuts on. Tank nuts go on like that. Now once you got the tank as tight as it can be, hand tight, you want to start snugging the tank down. And by the way, remember, sequentially, you don't need to tighten, don't tighten one side all the way and then tighten the other. You want to tighten these sequentially, little by little. Just tighten these just little by little. And be careful not to over tighten this because you can crack the toilet. So you want to be very careful not to over tighten the tank or bowl. So just, tighten sequentially and be very careful. Now what you want to do is get the supply line, and you want to reattach the supply line to the water shut-off valve, and you want to just tighten it. Just tighten it enough to make a watertight seal. Now you want to connect the water supply. Water supply goes on like that. Now you want to tighten the supply line. Just tighten the supply line. Now you want to turn on the water and let the flush mate fill. Once the toilet tank fills, flush the toilet and look for any leaks around the outlet right here and any leaks around the tank. And adjust anything as needed. Sometimes some things will need to be adjusted, but everything looks okay here. So now what you want to do is tank lid on the toilet, and you're done. Relatively easy.